every opportunity that the rest of us had that she shouldn't have. So we had to take matters into our own hands and pass a proposition, and so we did. And a lot of their basically taking free handouts stopped. So, thank you.
Dwayne Christie. Probably nobody's more familiar with University Medical Center than myself after working there for 8 years. UMC's problem is internal. Put it this way, let's visualize Mount Sinai and let's visualize UMC. Which hospital would you rather go to? Obviously Mount Sinai has much bigger representation, but yet we pay the CEO of UMC more than the CEO of Mount Sinai makes, and that's a county facility. That's a little scary. The employees of UMC are taxed to the limit. They're understaffed, they're overworked, their morale over there is just in the ground, knowing that one day they're going to be sold, or are they going to be sold, things of that nature. UMC has a terrible morale problem. They have some great staff. The trauma unit is probably the best in the world. Some great surgeons in that facility. The illegal aliens is not really as much of an issue as people say. There are a lot of illegal aliens going there, and I agree, and it needs to be dealt with. But as an owner of a collection agency, let me tell you, the statistics have shown that most of the illegals pay their bills at those facilities because they believe that if they pay their bills when amnesty comes, and it looks like President Obama is looking at that right now, that they can show they've been a valued citizen and by paying their debt. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking sides in that. I'm just saying there are people that have shown intent to pay their bills and so forth. Under HIPAA, UMC cannot ask a person whether they're legal or illegal. All they're allowed to do is to treat the patient. So you can't blame UMC employees for a federal problem, ICE and so forth, as far as dealing with illegal aliens. I definitely believe that UMC could be run better. Some finances and some funding to UMC, and just some restructuring of their budget. I'm not saying UMC could be profitable, but I would say that UMC wouldn't be such a tax burden on the county and the state as it is. Thank you.
All right, I have a question. We have about 6 minutes, and this one's pretty straightforward. Don't have to go into it that far. But would you be opposed to legislation giving a tax deduction for parents with children with a certain grade point average, thereby incentivizing the parents to get involved in their children's education, so it helps take some of the burden off of the teachers? I've talked to a couple of teachers about this. They think it's a pretty good idea. Well, of course, that's going to take a lot of oversight with the testing. But you guys can talk about that.
Dwayne Christie. I actually was educated and grew up in Canada. And Canadian government actually gives a family, it's called family allowance. And it gives money to families based on the children they have. One of the reasons is Canada had a small population back in the 60s and they were looking for growth, obviously. But the also incentive was to make sure they were well educated as far as clothing, food, and things of that nature. I agree 100%. I have 2 students, straight A students. One's going to Southwest Magnet School, the other one's going to Canarelli. And education is a top priority to me. I would like to see the federal government impose the fact that if you don't want to finish school, you have to go to the military. So I'm a firm believer that there should be a situation that either you do well in school or off to the service. Thank you.
Don't want dumb soldiers, it's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. It's pretty high-tech equipment and that costs a lot of tax dollars.
Sally Durbin. I agree that any initiative that's going to, parent-wise, student-wise, keep the kids in school, yes, I do agree.
Randy Spoor. There's no question incentives to parents to get more involved with their children in school is a very positive idea. My daughter is an elementary school teacher here, and she uses incentives with her students, and it definitely works on the student level, and it can also work on the parent level. No question, it will take an enormous amount of discussion, and there will be controversy. But education incentives are definitely high on my agenda.
You'd have to be careful basing it on a grade point average, because some students would take a very basic set of courses, others would take calculus, chemistry, and so forth like that. So you'd have to, I agree with the general concept, but you'd have to refine it so that students wouldn't be taking lesser courses in order to jack their grade up.
Just a clarification real quick, would this be where would they get a reduction in their federal income tax based on it, or would it be a state like less DMV fees, or how would they receive that?
I am a citizen, you're running for assembly, so
Fantastic.
you would answer that question.
I will answer that question. This is Kevin Donovan again. And assuming we would take it from the state and local and there'd be some type of tax break, maybe it's on a DMV fee or some fee that, or property taxes, whatever. The one thing I would caution on this type of approach is equity for all citizens of this county. I'm fortunate enough that my wife can stay home and raise our children. There's families in this town that have been through mom and dad layoffs, and now they're both working 3 part-time jobs, and they're never home for their kids. So you can give those types of families all the incentive that you want, but if they're not there to help their kids, they're just not there. They're doing their best to keep a roof over their kids' heads.
Library attendance.
Or library. There are other ways to do it. You just got to make sure it's an equity plan that all kids can participate in. It was just kind of my recommendation on that. And then to piggyback this, I think this kind of segues into vouchers. I think CCSD and our whole state should really open up to a voucher system. And I won't get into that, but I support that.
Nathan Santucci. Yeah, obviously as a product of the Clark County School District and UNLV, and hopefully someday if a future parent of several kids that will go to Clark County School District, I would support that until I saw it written out and to see what the little details are, but I would absolutely support the tax breaks.
Oh, we have about a minute left. I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't mind forfeiting that extra minute, seeing as how you've been up there for almost an hour. Are all the candidates in agreement? Alrighty. Board members?
I'd just like to say I think that this is a great panel of candidates right here. Really good answers to tough questions. Thank you.